We got an exclusive interview with Melissa Ohden, the abortion attempt survivor, right after her meeting with President Trump.
Melissa, thanks for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
For our viewers who are not familiar with your story, can you tell us a little bit about your witness?
I'm the survivor of a failed abortion. It was 41 years ago that my biological mother, as a college student, had a saline infusion abortion forced upon her against her will. That type of procedure was the most common one back in the 1970s, but it involved injecting a toxic salt solution into the amniotic fluid surrounding the preborn baby in the womb. The intent of that toxic salt solution was to poison and scald the child to death. And usually the procedure lasted about 72 hours. The child would soak in that toxic salt solution, and after their life was successfully ended by it, then premature labor was induced with the intent of that deceased child being delivered. In my circumstances, we know I actually soaked in that toxic salt solution for 5 days, just because they couldn't successfully induce her labor until that 5th day. And so on the 5th day of that abortion procedure, I was delivered at St. Luke's Hospital in Sioux City, Iowa, believing that I would be a successful abortion. And lo and behold, I was accidentally born alive.
Wow, and here you are today.
And here I am,
and
right?
Here you are, and you are such a bold witness. So tell us about being at the meeting with President Trump. What was that like? What did you get to say to him?
It was absolutely surreal, right? I described it as someone else of like, you have one of those moments where you're going, I was meant to be here today, right? This is what I was called to do. And so sitting in that Oval Office with him and hearing him talk so passionately about his commitment to life and what he's willing to keep doing legislatively to protect lives like mine. It's absolutely surreal. I am just so thankful for him and this administration and the bold moves he continues to make so that lives like mine can be protected in our society.
What is your impression of what President Trump thinks of this extreme abortion legislation we're continuing to see across the nation?
Oh, you can tell he thinks it's just an abomination, right? He talked a lot about Governor Northam and his comments in Virginia, about some of the other states making these same aggressive moves against life. And really, I appreciate that he made it a battle cry, right? That this is a movement. He kept using the word movement, and I love that so much. He said, he said, I think there's more that's been happening in terms of movement in the last couple of weeks than we've seen in a long time. And it's because people see what is happening and they're not willing to, sit by quietly or remain silent. And so he was just such a great encouragement for all of us to be moving in our own communities to stand up in defense of life.
Wow. Finally, Melissa, as so much of this extreme abortion legislation is in the news, from Governor Cuomo signing that bill into law to Governor Northam's comments, what do you see as your role today? I mean, you just met with the President of the United States.
That sounds so funny to hear come out of some. You met with the President of the United States. What next? You know what? I feel like I'm going to keep following God wherever he leads me, right? If that means that I keep coming back to Washington and, standing up for legislative bills that will make a difference, I will do that. If it means that I am still out in the trenches, of course, helping pregnancy centers and other organizations educate and raise funds to serve people in their communities. But I just know that I think survivors are a huge part of this conversation that needs to take place, whether it's Washington or some other community, these lives like mine that exist that have been impacted by abortion need to be heard.